अमोल, योगेश, स्नेहा, चैताली, am I audible? Chaitali, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sneha, Amol, Suraj, Suraj, are you there? Suraj Mahadik, you can unmute yourself and talk. Suraj, Yogesh, Yogesh, are you there? Oh, okay, no problem, no problem. So we will start with today's session. Tell me, is the PPT visible? Is the PPT visible? Vinod, Harish, Harish,
Yes, sir.
Chetan, is the PPT visible? Chaitali,
Yes, sir.
Sneha, is the PPT visible? Hmm? Priti, Tejas, Monica, is the PPT visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
असं बोला पटकन काय येस नो. किती वेळा आपलं मी नाव विचारायचं आणि तुम्ही अजिबात उत्तर देत नाही म्हणून काय. Who will tell me what did we discuss in the last session? Last lecture ला काय शिकलो आपण? तेजस,
Sir, don't know. मी प्रेझेंट नव्हतो सर.
ओके ओके. नाही असं बोलत जावा रे. काय होतंय काहीतरी येस नो बोलत जाऊन मी पुढे जाता येते ना. मग आपल्या समोर विचारायचं हा तेजस, प्रीती, सूरज आणि तुम्ही अजिबात रिस्पॉन्ड करायचं नाही म्हणलं चुकीचं आहे ना. ऍटलीस्ट काहीतरी हो नाही म्हणण्याचा माणूस पुढे जातो ना. बरोबर ना मोनिका?
Yes, sir.
मोनिका नावाने दोन कसे दिसतात इथं? मोनिका?
Yes, sir.
तुझ्या नावाने दोन कसे काय दिसतात इथं? बघ बरं आपल्या याच्या लिस्टमध्ये पार्टिसिपंट लिस्टमध्ये 2 वेळा दिसतंय तुझं नाव. कशामुळे?
सर मी दोनदा लॉग इन केलं त्यामुळे मे बी.
ठीक आहे. So I will tell you what did we discuss in the last session. In the last session we started with this analyzing company's internal environment. There we discussed many different concepts like the first of all we discussed about the strategic advantage, how that strategic advantage can be created for the company, that we discussed with step-by-step flow chart. And then as we discussed all these components of the process of creating a strategic advantage for a company, then we discussed about the concept of stress, leverage and fit, that also we have discussed. And we have had a very good discussion on business portfolio analysis. We understood what is business portfolio analysis. Business portfolio analysis, what it means is, it is an analysis of the business portfolio. That means whatever the business units, strategic businesses the company has, that we have discussed. So business portfolio analysis is about designing the business portfolio. That is a key step in the strategic planning process. The best business portfolio is the one that best fits the company's strengths and weaknesses and to the opportunity in the environment. The best business portfolio, when we can say business portfolio is best when the strengths and weaknesses of a company can be utilized for either getting the benefit of different opportunities which are available in the environment. That portfolio, we can say it is a best business portfolio. In understanding this term, business portfolio analysis. So business portfolio analysis, in this we stated that there are these different terms which have to be understood. First of all, we understood the business as the economic system wherein the goods and services are exchanged for one another for money. Every business ensures some form of investment and sufficient number of customers. So investment is required as well as customers need to be there to which we can sell the goods which we can produce. And then what a portfolio means, it is a collection of investments of the company or an individual. So the business portfolio is the collection of businesses as well as different products that make up the company, the strategic business units, the different businesses the company has, as well as the different product lines a company has, that can be called as a business portfolio. And then analysis is the systematic way of resolution or examining any object or happening. So here a business portfolio analysis, that what it means is, we are understanding what are the different strategic business units of a company, then what are the different product lines of company, and then we make a systematic analysis of these different strategic business units a company has as well as the products, so as to understand what is the company's position, and that can help the company to formulate further strategies for survival or the growth. And therefore this analysis business portfolio analysis is very useful for a company. And then we discussed that this business portfolio analysis can be done with the help of different tools we have, like growth share matrix we have, which is also called as a Boston Consulting Group, or product portfolio analysis. Another tool may be industry attractiveness or business position matrix, which can also be called as General Electric or McKinsey matrix. There is Hoffer's product market evaluation matrix and PIMS, that is product impact market strategy. However, the most commonly used techniques are BCG matrix and GE9 cell matrix, and therefore we discussed this. We plan to discuss these two tools in depth, and in these two techniques, we have started with discussing growth share market matrix. So, what is the growth share matrix? That we'll just have a brief recap so that we can go ahead. So, in that, we started understanding different terms which will be useful for understanding this growth share matrix, and therefore these terms like market share, the profit, relative market share, and then growth rate, all these terms we understood. We'll just have a brief recap. Market share means it is a ratio of sales revenue of the firm to the total sales revenue of all firms in the industry. So the total revenue of a industry, if we divide it as per the individual companies, then the share of each company can be called as the market share of that particular company. In this graph, you can see the different companies having different market share in that particular industry. So here in this graph, you can see ABC company is there who is having 20% share. Likewise, other companies have their own share in this industry. Then another term which is relative market share. Relative market share means we are comparing the market share of a company with someone who is leader in that particular industry. Like in this example, we have taken few companies in electronic market like Sony, Samsung, LG, Videocon, Onida, and this if you want to understand the relative market share of LG company, then the best seller, or we can say the leading competitor in this market as per the different market share which is shown in this table is Sony. So we'll compare the market share of LG with Sony, and thereby this formula business unit sales per this year of LG, that is 16%, divided by the leading rivals sales for this year is 27%, which comes to 0.59, which can be called as a relative market share. Then going ahead, we saw the definition of profit. What can be called as a profit? It is reward for business for the risk it undertakes for in offering a product for sale. So it is also the money left over after a firm's total expenses are subtracted from the total sales or revenue. That is called as a market growth rate. It is a measure of a market's attractiveness, how attractive that market is, and that can be calculated with the formula, that is individual sales current year divided by individual sales last year divided by individual sales last year. So with this formula, we'll be able to see how much the growth we have achieved in terms of sale. So this can be called as a market growth rate that can be calculated. Then next term, the product life cycle, we discussed that there can be different stages when we plot this graph of sales over the period of time. There may be different stages like development, introduction, growth, maturity, saturation, decline. So in that, if you see in the development stage, there is no sales. Sales is zero as the product is under the development stage. From introduction stage, you will be able to see that there is a rise in the sales or revenue as the people come to know about the product and they start accepting the product. The sales will start growing and it will enter into the another stage, that is the growth, wherein that sales will rise quickly. And then after some period of time, when the market gets saturated, the maturity stage will start, and ultimately in saturation stage, the sales will start declining, and ultimately the product will lose its market share, and then will not be able to sell the product anymore. The product can be then withdrawn. That is can be called as a decline stage. So like that, there may be different stages of product life cycle that we have discussed, isn't it? Are you getting this? Are you all there? Yogesh? Vinod? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So going ahead, we discussed that this BCG matrix, that is Boston Consulting Group, who has developed this matrix to analyze the company's business portfolio. So this portfolio planning model, it is also called, that is based on the observation that company's business units can be classified into 4 categories. So this business matrix, Boston Consulting Group matrix, that divides all the businesses of the company into 4 important categories, which are given the names like stars, question marks, cash cows, and dogs. So it is based on the combination of market growth and market share relative to the best competitor. So this categorization is made on the basis of the market growth rate of the particular company, and then the market share relative to its best competitor. So these 2 parameters are used to divide all the business units of a company into these 4 important categories. So if we see this diagram, so basically positions throughout the product life cycle. So we can also display this categories on the PLC, that is product life cycle, wherein the question marks we have placed in the introduction stage. As in the introduction stage, so whether to nurture that product, that is a question, and that can be solved by understanding what is the growth rate and what is the market potential for that product. So when the product goes into the growth stage, and if it is performing well with high growth, then we can say it is a star. Then in maturity stage, when it enters, so it can be called as a cash cow. The category can be called as a cash cow, wherein the market share becomes stable and less expenditure is required for its promotion. Product is already accepted by the customers in the market, and then the product is sold automatically as the customers have become loyal or they have become habituated to that particular product. So cash cow can be placed in maturity stage, and another stage which comes, that is dog. So that means the company or the particular business unit or the products, there there are different competitors, they enter into the market, and then the individual sales of that particular company for that particular products may start decline, and then whether to nurture that products, revamp that particular products, or to close that business unit or those products, that have to be decided, because feeding any more to those business units or products may not result into further growth. So that is a dark stage which we have placed in the decline stage. So if we place all this onto this graph, if we are able to see this diagram, I think this diagram is visible to you all, isn't it? Is the diagram visible to you all? Yogesh?
Yes.
So on this diagram, you will be able to see on the horizontal axis we have relative market share, the company's market share which is compared to the leading rival in the market, so which is called as the relative market share. On the horizontal axis we have taken, and then on the vertical axis we have taken market growth rate. So this categorization we have made on the basis of relative position of business unit or the product lines. So if we see this diagram, which is called as Boston Consulting Group's growth share matrix, the first quadrant, if we see, that is the category which we can say it is stars. So the characteristic of stars is that they have high market growth rate. If you see this cursor, the stars are having high market growth rate. They are highly growing products. At the same time, the relative market share is also very high. So these are star products having very high growth rate, and therefore they can be nurtured. Second quadrant, you will be able to see the category of question marks. So this category of question marks is characterized by high market growth rate. However, the relative market share is declining. Isn't it? If you are able to see here on horizontal axis, as we go ahead towards the right, the relative market share starts declining. So question marks is the category wherein the relative market share compared to the uh, leading competitor in the market is very less. However, the market is growing, and therefore we have to decide whether to nurture this product or then we have to drop it. So it is a question mark category. Third category is your cash cows, wherein the relative market share is very high. So on this horizontal axis, as you are going to the left, the relative market share is growing. So cash cow is a segment where the relative market share is very high. However, the market is not growing. So market growth rate is very less. However, the relative market share compared to the other companies is very high, and therefore this category is such a particular segment which is helpful to the company, and that can be the benefit of this particular category can be taken as very less amount of expenditure is needed to feed this category of products or the segments, because the customers are well aware of the products are selling automatically, so very less expenditure is required for their promotion, and therefore this cash cow is also one of the good segments for a company. And the last segment is dogs. Here you will see both these. Relative market share is also declining, and the market is also not growing. So that means everything is on the decline stage, and therefore that can become burden to a company. And then there at this stage the company has to decide whether to keep these products or to close such production of such products or those business units. So these are four categories which we can understand, and over which we can categorize all the different business units of a company and the particular company's product lines. So this is a matrix which can be prepared wherein we can understand the particular company's market. Are you understanding this?
Yes, sir.
Any query on this? Any query in whatever we have discussed till now?
No, sir.
So going further, we will have to discuss these categories one by one in detail. So first we take question marks. So question marks is the first category. We will start with this category question marks, wherein the relative market share is less and market growth rate is very high. However, the relative market share of that particular company is less compared to the leading marketer. So that is how we will have to decide whether to nurture these products or drop this kind of products. So question marks are these units with low market share in a fast growing industry. That means the industry is growing fast. However, the relative market share of that particular company is less, and therefore to increase the market share they are required large amount of cash to grow their market share. They have the potential to generate profits and achieve a dominant position in the market. As the market is growing, that is, the industry is growing, however the relative market share is less. That means that there is a potential, if we invest some money in market share can be expanded, and therefore the product or that we can increase the market share. That is first. We have seen question mark category. Second, going further, as we have discussed these characteristics of question marks, what features characterize this category of question marks, as we have discussed this, we have to further also see what implications it pose to the company. What are its implications? What are the what does it suggest? Strategist. What are the chances of this product securing a hold in the market? How much it costs to promote them to a stronger position, and is it worth it? So the strategist, while he is formulating strategies for the particular company or particular business unit, they will have to see in which category this particular business unit or product lines can be positioned over this matrix. And if it is in the question mark, we'll have to ask some questions like, are there any chances of this product securing a hold in the market? If we invest some money in promoting these products, will it help us to grow the market? In the promotion, be able to get the output of whatever we are investing. All that need to be answered before we invest anymore in this category of question marks. If there are any positive signals that the market share can be grown, the company can invest more in this particular category. So the different strategic decisions can be taken on these question marks. There can be aggressive investment. Either the company can invest aggressively on this particular business unit or product line and expansion to capitalize on the industry's growth rate with focused differentiation or low cost strategy, or there can be another decision can be divestiture. So first strategy is to invest, and second strategy can be opposite to that, that is divest. We can remove the product line or particular business unit for further to signals of expansion or the growth in the market. We can aggressively invest in that particular product category with differentiation. We can establish our superiority by differentiating our products into the market, or there can be another strategy of low cost strategy, keeping the price less in the market and selling more. So whatever we can plan, that can be to increase the market share. Going ahead, we'll have to see the another category of product line or business unit, that is stars. So if we see this matrix wherein the stars are being positioned in the first quadrant, wherein there is a industry is also growing fast and the company's relative market share is also very high. So that is this category which is very much opportunistic to the company, and therefore it is called as a stars. So these stars are unit with a high market share in a fast growing industry. These stars represent the best profits and growth opportunities in the market. They generate high revenues and also requires huge cash for sustaining the star position. So once we achieve the star position, to maintain the star position also requires continuous investment. Then product in the growth stage. So the company can achieve this star position in the growth stage wherein the customers have already are aware of the product and they start spreading word of mouth, good word of mouth in the market, and more customers they join the product or the purchase of the product. They start using the product and repetitively they purchase the product, and thereby that results into the high growth rate for that particular product line or that business unit, and that is how that category can come into a star position wherein the market share is also high, industry is also growing. So the strategic implications of this particular position is that There is huge potential in that type of product line for further growth, and then it may be expensive to develop. So this position or product line requires huge investment, and to maintain that position also require investment on continuous basis. However, it is worth spending money to promote. Why it is worth is because it is growing, the market share is expanding, and the industry is also on a growth stage and providing many opportunities for sale of that particular product. Also, consider the extent of this product life cycle in decision making. So, when we are talking about stars, we have to understand the product life cycle also, what stage it is, and then further on that basis of our understanding, we can further decide to invest in that particular category of stars. The strategic decisions which can be taken on the basis of this category stars is that the investment is high and huge promotions to attract larger customer base to match with the industry growth rate. So high investment is required. Huge promotions are to be required. Huge promotions are required to be done to attract larger customer base. At the same time, competition will be increasing and hence holding the customer base, that is market share, with concentration and product development strategy that also need to be planned. So two important decisions here we have to take when we are talking about star category, that is investment, high investment in this segment, and that also on a continuous basis, and then competition is increasing, and therefore to hold that particular position of market leader, we have to continuously improve the product. So product development strategy that we have to plan. Then going ahead to the cash cow category, if we see this on this particular table, the cash cow is one of the segment wherein the product is already has reached to the saturation stage or maturity stage, where the customers of the company are already aware of the particular product, and then no further investment in promotion is required. Customers are aware of the product, they have started using the product, they repeatedly purchase the product, and there how the sale becomes automatic, and the revenue can become steady revenues without much promotional expenses can be achieved in this stage. So here you can see there is a market is not growing much in this stage. However, the relative market share of this particular category of products in the company is very high. And that is how we call it as a cash cow type of segment that we have to discuss in detail now. This cash cow, it is a product or the business unit that generates unusually high profit margins. High profit margins, why? Because at this stage, as I said, the customers have become habitual to purchase the product again and again, and then the promotional expenses are very less. The company requires a very less promotion for this product. They are the business with low growth rate and high market share. So there may not be any further more growth for this particular kind of product or business unit. However, the company is holding a very high market share for that kind of products. So generating cash more than its requirement, which can be used by other units. So this category will generate a continuous steady flow of revenues without much promotional expenses, and that can be used by other units for their development. So this can be observed in maturity stage. When product goes into the maturity stage, this kind of phenomenon can be observed. So the strategic implications of this category of products or business units: the less cost to the promoter, as we discussed, very less cost, less expenditure is required for its promotion. They generate large amount of cash that can be used for further investment in other units. In and promoting have largely gone. So here the cost of developing the product as well as promoting the product is very less required. They need to monitor their performance in the long term. So however the products are generating steady revenue, we'll have to monitor their performance in the long run, whether it is stable or it has started declining at the maturity stage of PLC. So this kind of phenomenon or such kind of situation can come in maturity stage. So we have to further watch the performance of this kind of business unit of product line in long run, whether it is growing or it has started declining. Strategic decisions which can be taken for this category of products is whether to hold the position through stability strategy and through integration strategy. We have to then decide on which strategy to be adopted, whether to have a stability strategy to have a stable kind of a flow of revenue for this particular kind of products, or to integrate this integration strategy by integrating these products with another product lines. Then differentiation of products in stiff competitive environment is must to encash as much share in the slow growth industry. So the industry's growth has slowed down. However, as the company's product or that particular business unit has achieved some popularity in the particular market, and therefore the market share is very high, and therefore to retain that share, we have to differentiate or make some changes to maintain that particular position in the market. Then the last category of products or the business units can be called as dogs. So on this table you will be able to see this last quadrant, that is dogs, wherein the relative market share is also very less, as well as the market is not growing. So on both the parameters, this product has started declining. That is the industry is also declining, as well as the relative market share is also on decline stage. So the product or that particular business line will come to this particular segment of dogs, which becomes burden on the particular company. So company may decide to either invest in that particular products further to give boost and start newly on the product life cycle, or to divest or to remove the investment or to sell that particular business unit, so that the burden on the company can be resolved. So this dogs category is characterized by the little future is very less for these products, as the industry is also on a decline stage. Industry growth rate is very less, industry is not growing, as well as there is no growth for that particular products. So dogs is the category of is a category which has very little future and are big cash drainer on the company, and that is how they become burden on the company. Only they require investment to produce and sell. However, the revenue which is coming is very less. Many a times it is not able to bring in the revenues, not even to break even. So it is a self-sustaining unit with negative cash flows. So profits are in negative minus. So companies at losses when we are having such kind of products, company will be incurring losses. They do not generate any profit for overall business and hence can be sold off and hired off. So if such situation comes, the company has to take a decision to close that particular business unit or to stop production of that kind of a product. So this can be observed in the declining stage with no chance of revival. Whatever we do, there are no chances of revival of market share for that particular product. Therefore, a decision need to be taken whether to stop the production of such kind of a product. The different strategic implementation for this category, are they worth preserving with? Then how much they are costing? What is the cost of this kind of a product to the company? Could they be revived in some way? Are there any chances that we can revive the market share for these products? How much would it cost to continue to support such products? What it will cost to the company if it continues that product line or that particular business unit? And one more important question, how much would it cost to remove it from the market? So if you remove that product or business unit from that particular market, what would it cost to the company? Sometimes it happens that some product may be incurring losses to the company. However, that particular product might be the reason for the customers for entering the particular portfolio of particular company to purchase the other products. So what effects it will incur on the company? What it would cost if we remove that particular product or business line from the company? What it would cost to the company, that we will have to understand. Even if that product is in losses, what impact it will have if we stop the production of that particular product? What are the consequences of removal of that particular product from the market? That we will have to understand, and then we have to take such decision. So to understand more, we have one example. Here I have taken the example of a very popular brand, Colgate. Are you able to see this diagram? Is the diagram visible? Rohit,
No, sir.
No, sir.
diagram
No,
is
sir.
not visible?
No, not visible, sir.
Just a minute. You have to tell me whenever such happens. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So there was technical problem, I think. So I was logged out automatically, and then I have now joined once again. So how is the PPT visible now? Just tell me whether you are able to see this diagram. Is the diagram visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we are discussing about this BCG matrix of Colgate, so one of the popular companies, wherein on this diagram I have shown these four categories: stars, question marks, cash cows, and dogs. First, we'll see the category of stars, wherein the market growth is very high and relative market share is also very high. So that kind of product is the stars category, which you can see in this diagram. So various products of Colgate having very high market growth, industry is also growing. That is, you are able to see this toothpaste, Colgate toothpaste, or the mouthwash. All these products are in the category of stars with high market growth and high relative market share. Another category of product line is question marks. In the second quadrant, you are able to see this, the toothpaste which is being meant for children, that at some point of time it was a question mark for the company whether to continue it or not, whether whatever we are investing will result into high market share or not. So that is a question mark kind of category. Third quadrant, we will be able to see the cash cows. Product is well accepted, and then the products will sell automatically. The with high growth rate, uh, high growth market share is growing. However, the market is not growing, but the particular market share of that company in this kind of products is very high. We'll be able to see the Colgate toothpaste is there, as the Colgate White, Colgate Sensitive. All these are products which are selling automatically. Customers have already accepted Colgate toothpaste, as well as the Colgate toothbrush. Customers have already aware about the product, and the products are selling automatically. No further investment in the promotion is required. They are generating steady revenues, high profit margins that can be utilized by other units for the development. Then the last quadrant, you will be able to see the category of such a kind of a products wherein the relative market share is also very less. Market is not growing. Industry as also is not growing. That means maintaining the products may require huge cost, and it is burden to the company, like Colgate tooth powder, that is not getting any more market revenues, that comes into this category of dogs. So company will have to take a decision whether to retain these products or to drop these products from the product offerings. So instead of going ahead, what we will do is we'll limit our discussion of this session here only. But before we close the session, uh, just let me download first the attendance. Are you all there?